All right, well, thank you all so much for joining us for LinkedIn advice from a 35-year recruiter. Discover why it is imperative to have an updated LinkedIn profile and resume on hand at all times. Learn how to add lots of recruiter bait to your LinkedIn profile. And this is all led by Wendy Schoen, a New York City-based National Association of Legal Search Consultants, executive legal recruiter for more than 35 years. She has recruited for law firms, domestic, international, big, medium, boutique, associates, partners, as well as in-house for general counsels, chief operating officers, and chief compliance officers, and really just everything else in between. Prior to becoming a full-time legal recruiter back in 1993, Wendy received her MBA and worked as a Wall Street investment banker for 10 years before attending law school. And I again want to thank the Friends of the Library for being the primary sponsor for almost all our programs here at the library. So all 92 of us who are watching live and the many more that will watch the recording, let's give a big virtual round of applause to Wendy for joining us this morning. And Wendy, you can take it away. Thanks so much.
Good morning, all. Thanks so much for coming this morning. That's pretty massive round send-off that you just gave me. Unfortunately, it's all true. So, a lot of what I'm going to say is true for any industry, not just the one that I happen to be working in, which is law. So I work with lawyers, is what he forgot to tell you. But it's become true that you almost, if you're working in any industry where you go to work in an office or where you report to a manager of any kind, or the like of things, you need to have a LinkedIn profile on LinkedIn. Otherwise, you almost don't exist. And you certainly don't exist when it comes time to job search. Truth be told, most recruiters don't like to see that you created your profile yesterday. If you're job searching, they want to know that you've been actually on the platform for a bit of time and have interacted with people on the profile, because that shows at least that you're community aware, which is an EQ quantity, which is an emotional quantity, aware of the things that are going on around you. So if you don't have a profile, even if you're not currently looking for a job, you should be on there. So, because if you make a phone call to somebody that you've never spoken to, guaranteed they're going to be looking you up on LinkedIn to see who it is that they're talking to, either before or during the conversation with you. Now, to the profile. People think that all you have to do is put in your name and where you went to school and where you're working now, and everything's fine. No. LinkedIn will let you sit like a lump of coal in the corner bin if you want to do that, and you will never see anybody. You will never learn anything. You will never be seen by anybody. You'll be sitting like a lump of coal in the back corner, and you will never get anything out of LinkedIn. Once you're on LinkedIn, you might as well make it pay for you. Now, sure, you want to get the lowest level is a public profile, which you can just get by signing up. Okay. Sure, you'll be getting a LinkedIn feed, but it'll be postings by everybody under the sun, about everything under the sun, and there's no rhyme or reason. But what you want to do is at least, at minimum, put your information into your LinkedIn profile. What that means is each of the categories that asks you a question, you fill out. And except then you go back and figure out what pieces of information you don't want to be made public. First of all, you send it to make everybody aware of this LinkedIn profile. So it's available for people from the outside, not just your little circle of 5 friends, but everybody on the outside to see it. Then you go back in and you say, okay, but do I want everybody to see everything that I do here? And the answer is no, you don't. Because you don't want to make sure that everybody that's your friend or following or connection sees every little change when you make a change, or update when you make an update, or every connection that you make, or whatever. Some things on LinkedIn you want to keep to a restricted group, and some things you want to have made public to everybody. So you have the chance to toggle whether something that you're posting is available to everyone or available to a certain group of people. So make aware of that. Especially if you're in a job search mode. You don't want everybody in the world to know that you just redone your LinkedIn profile and you've made all these massive changes. You don't want, let's say you're connected to your coworker because the two of you share ideas, or the two of you are just kicking around the day that you opened up your profile and you both, opened yourselves up to each other. Maybe you don't want them to know that you're looking for a job. So you don't want them to know that you just updated your profile. So, pay attention to those permissions and settings. Um, so, um, because things, you get posted there and you're on for everybody in the world to see, unless you place restrictions on your profile. Uh, and then, so you've gone there. Now, when you go in there, put information in there. If you just put the bare minimum, nobody's going to look at you. Nobody's going to find you. Any effort you make into looking for a job is going to be worthless, because if a recruiter lands for some reason on your profile and they see bare minimum information, they're going to be leaving your profile faster than you can whistle Dixie, because the information you've provided isn't worth their time to stay long enough to get to know you, to wonder whether you might be a good fit for whatever job they're working on. If someone happens to land on your profile, you want them to stay. You want them to learn enough about you to decide whether to make contact with you about whatever job they're working on. Isn't that the purpose? That's your job searching. That's what I call making your profile recruiter bait. So, ultimate goal here is to create a profile that is enticing enough to a recruiter who is conducting a search, that you fall into their lap or into their search or into their awareness, that they look at you and you're not out there answering job ads, and you're not out there telling the world that you're open to opportunities or running a green banner across your face. But what you're doing is your profile is telling recruiters out there in a very subtle way, hi, I'm X. I've done Y, I've done Z, I've done P, I've done Q. And guess what? Because I've done these things, I might be attractive to you because you're looking for, and this requires somebody who not only has the skills, but has done this thing in the past and has done it, and the results have come in and have made the company money, or have saved the company money, or have put you, whatever the result is. And that happens to be what the result the company is looking for. And oh my God, not only have you done it, you've done it fabulously with a fabulous result. So why wouldn't they want to know about you? Because you can help them connect the dots through the process. And by connecting the dots through the process, you already know that this step over here doesn't work and that this step over here does work. Why wouldn't they want to talk to you? And you've made their lives easier because your profile says, I did this and I was successful. And here are the metrics to show it. Why wouldn't they want to talk to you? That's the power of LinkedIn. That's the power of doing a LinkedIn profile properly and putting your information out there for people to see. That's the short answer to the question. Why do you want to have a LinkedIn profile and do it right? Other reasons for doing so, that's you creating the profile and making sure that it's properly filled out and properly exercised. Why do you want to keep it up to date? Well, how many of you have been out on a, oh my God, this deal is a monster and it has to be finished by yesterday noontime, and oh my God, we're 12 hours late, and oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And while you're there and it's completely focused on this, a phone call comes in with a recruiter who has the job of a lifetime that they want to talk to you about. Job of a lifetime. The last thing you have time to do is to stop everything, sit down, write an appropriate resume, write a killer LinkedIn profile. I mean, seriously, you want to do nothing but this monster job you're working on because that's your job. You want to work on your LinkedIn profile when you are not in the middle of something devastating. Or let's say you have, God forbid, something devastating going on in your life. That's not when you want to be writing your profile and resume. You want to do it when you have the time to pay attention to it, when you have the time to collect whatever um, uh, reporting documents and accompanying documents that can prove that you've done the things that you say you've done at your leisure. And then you put into your calendar every quarter. A little buzzer goes off and says, time to look at our documents. Have we done anything in the last 3 months that warrants our making a change to either of these documents? Because if it has, do it then. 12 weeks is not a long time. You can easily add or update these documents from what you've done in the last 12 weeks. Because you either got the paperwork on your desk, you've talked the talk for however long before that, so it's right there at the tip of your tongue, and you could easily just add it to or make the changes to your documents and put them back into your system and move on and go back to what you're doing for the day. If you have to sit at the end of the year or at the end of 5 years and try and restructure, reconnect, rethink about the who, the what, the where, the why, the how, and then pull out those documents that you need to attach, it's going to take you forever. But if you've been keeping it up and making sure that these documents are still accurately and professionally and fabulously telling you When you're not looking even, that's the name of the game. If recruiters are calling you rather than you calling them, that's the name of the game. Now, how can you make your profile stand out more? Well, first of all, you have to establish your personal brand, which I hope all of you have heard about by now and all of you have developed already. This is what it is that defines you in the job search world. This is what makes you you and what makes you stand out. So you have your personal brand, then you have to have I forgot what I was saying. Sorry. Um, what do you put it? Oh, what makes you stand out? So you have your personal brand, then you have your accomplishments. Profiles today are written in accomplishment format, achievement format, not, hi, I was responsible for this, and that. Not, I'm a 25-year pro at this. Nobody cares about time. Nobody cares about that you had 200 people reporting to you, and each person had a notepad, and each person took different kinds of notes. Nobody cares. They want to know what you did that made you successful in what you do, made you an attractive candidate. They want to know. Okay, and those accomplishments need to be done in an RAS format. Responsibility, I'm sorry, result, actions that gave way to that result, and who it was involved, that who did you have to interact with to get that done? So front load the results, don't hide them in the back. So you don't say, worked with ABC on the BBB project and ended up with saving the company $12 million. Don't say the bullet points like that or the conversations like that. What you say is saved company $33 million over a 4-month period in their action business plan section by coordinating with this. The saved the is the first thing in the bullet point. So it's RAS. Um, and your sentences, anytime you use a sentence as opposed to a bullet point, same concept. You have an about section at the top of your LinkedIn profile. You need to put achievements up there. Nobody wants to hear that you're a 25-year leader. Nobody wants to hear that you grew up in a log cabin and walked to school every day. What they want to see up there are your major achievements. Walk them through your background, but do it so by your major achievements. So 3 or 4, 5 sentences. If you were an Olympic athlete, you put that up there. I don't care if it was 25 years ago. You'll always be an Olympic athlete. That is a major achievement in your life. Okay? That sets you apart from 99.9% of the people on this planet. Okay? Because even if it was 20 years ago, it shows a commitment and to something that to achieve a goal that most people never have and never will have. So anything that you're hiding in the back end of your resume, any achievements that's hiding in the back end of your resume, make sure it shows up in the achievement section because that's where it's going to be seen. I don't want to hear you say, well, I attended this college and I did this and I did that and I worked with this. And here's a list of my qualifications. That's not how it is. No. They recruiters want to be able to are drawn in by your headline. They want to look at your about section and make a decision by viewing that achievement section. Yes, achievement section is the same as about section. They want to know that they want to look at your achievement section, your about section, read it, and say, I have to talk to this person. Okay? I just mentioned headline. LinkedIn generates a headline for you that is your title and your current employer. That's the knee-jerk response. That's boring. That doesn't tell me anything. Why is your headline important? It goes with you everywhere. Anytime you go someplace and ask a question, anytime you show up in a survey, anything you do on LinkedIn, anytime you do anything that refers back to LinkedIn, your name, your photo, and there are professional photo apps, so to speak, within LinkedIn, so you can get a really good professional photo basically for free. Don't use a photo of you at the beach. Use a professional photo. And then your headline. Your headline goes with you everywhere. This is your first chance to market yourself. Don't screw it up. Your headline is what the recruiter sees first. That's your first chance to market yourself. So there are, if you look within LinkedIn, some of the top recruiters, I'm sorry, coaches have headline formulas. Use one. It includes the job you're looking for, one or two of your top skills, etc. That helps. So if I go into LinkedIn, I'm looking at your headlines. And if your headline grabs me, I will then go to look at your about section, achievement section, whatever you want to call it. And then I read that about section. No, the headline is not the same thing as a job title. Absolutely not. Then I'm reading your about section. If your about section excites me, interests me, grabs me in any way, shape, or form, then I am calling you and want to talk to you more. Then I am opening up the profile and reading where you went to school, what you're currently doing. Okay? That's what it is. But I'm never getting past the about section if it bores me to death. And I'm never getting to the about section if your headline isn't interesting. Hasn't grabbed me. So the trick is your headline has to grab me. Your headline is what grabs and attracts and entices the recruiter. You know, if I have a job and that's been given me to fill, I go to LinkedIn. I have the recruiter level of LinkedIn, and in the search box, I enter a Boolean search. Now, a Boolean search says to the algorithm that runs everybody's lives, and it says lawyer or legal associate and pharmaceutical and biotech and this, and I put a big parenthesis around it, and I say, not this, and New York City, and JD equals 1998 through 2010. Okay, so I mean, I put in the ands, the nots, and the what's betweens in this big Boolean search, and then enter. And LinkedIn will come back to me and it'll give me, here are the 250 that match your search. Here are the 250 that are open to work that match your search. And here are the 3,000 that almost match your search. Great. Now, or sometimes those numbers are significantly higher and I have to add more skills to bring it down. But I can, so I can start very large and just keep adding skills and requirements for the job until I work it down to a manageable number in my here's who meets and here's who meets that are open to work. I always, 100% of the time, choose the pile that's open to work. Always. So, because they've done have my job for me, because they've answered questions about what they're looking for or not looking for, so that saves me time. There's two options for open to work. One is you can flash or slash across your photo this green banner that says, "Hi, I'm open to work." Or there's a toggle switch that you can switch on or off for open to work. That switch, if you try to switch it to on, is only visible, is not visible to your current employer. It's visible to everybody else, but not your current employer or your current employee, anybody at your firm. So you're safe that way. You go into that one and you answer the questions within it. You don't just toggle it. You say, "Hi, this is the role I'm looking for. These are the kinds of titles I'm looking for. This is the geography I'm looking for." That answers a lot of questions for me. So I take the pile that's open to opportunities that have already met all of these criteria that I've laid out, and I take that pile and I start my first review through the resumes. So now I'm going through them. I'm actually reading the headlines. If the headlines tell me right away that I'm not interested, gone. If it interests me, I go to the about section and I reach the about section. If the about section tells me I'm not interested, gone. But if the about section makes me interested, it goes into my look further pile. So I've now gone from 250 or 800, whatever it is, a manageable number, and I weeded out the ones that are not appropriate for me because of either headline, about section, or the open to work button tells me, I mean, if they put in the open to work button that they're looking to relocate to Alaska, they're in my no thank you pile. That's what I meant they're doing half the work for me. So I don't have to waste my time on a phone call to them.
So, Wendy, let me interrupt for a second, and I apologize. I'm battling a summer cold, but so we're about at the halfway point. We've gone about 30 minutes. So maybe in the next few minutes, if we could transition to audience questions, that would be great because I have about 30 questions in the Q
That's
and
good.
A.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's a good spot.
Okay. Oh, we can transition now. Okay, great. Okay.
One more thing.
Sure. Go ahead.
Make sure your personal information is included in the contact information, not just your firm's website and the LinkedIn, because I'm not going to call you if I have to call you at the firm.
All right. Excellent. Thank you, Wendy, for that. Folks, I did just remember now what I forgot to mention at the beginning. Feel free in the chat. The chat is open to everyone. Feel free to drop in your LinkedIn URL, your LinkedIn profile links. I encourage folks to connect with one another. We did this either last week or the week before, and I know that folks had a positive experience. So feel free to connect with each other on LinkedIn. Feel free to drop your LinkedIn profile links in the chat. Just make sure that when you're entering them into the chat or copy and pasting them into the chat, that the drop down is for everyone and not for hosts and panelists. if it's for hosts and panelists, only I'll see it. So we want to make sure that everyone sees it. So you can do that. Okay. All right.
And make sure you have personalized your URL.
Good point. Absolutely. So, Wendy, I think some of the questions revolve around, basically as the recruiter, Wendy, what do you see? What's I guess how does the recruiter use LinkedIn? Doesn't a recruiter generally have a special LinkedIn recruiter account? And sort of what how does that work? If you could give us a brief 2-minute synopsis of how the LinkedIn recruiter system works.
Well, I gave you one of the biggest ones is that I am allowed to conduct searches on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Is one of the biggest pluses for me having LinkedIn Recruiter. So I can conduct a full-blown search on Recruiter. The second is I'm able to reach out to any candidate I want via LinkedIn messaging.
Yeah.
And LinkedIn, yeah, through LinkedIn message. So I can send you a message saying, "Hi, I have a killer opportunity. I saw your message," or I can reach out to you via your personal email or cell phone, but I can reach out to you through your LinkedIn account, which means you should be checking your LinkedIn regularly to see if someone has reached out to you, because they don't want to reach out to you through your office, or they don't want to call you on your office phone. So they're reaching out to you via LinkedIn because it's more discreet.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that you as a regular ordinary person on LinkedIn have a limited number of messaging emails that you can send to one another. I have an unlimited number.
Yeah. Wendy, Angela writes, often 500 plus connections are considered the standard on the LinkedIn platform. Can you please share how this is evaluated from the perspective of a recruiter? Wendy, do you care how many people, how many connections someone has on LinkedIn?
Yes, 500. Once you hit 500, LinkedIn stops counting publicly. So your profile will show, if you're looking at someone's profile, under your picture, it'll say 500 plus. And it will continue to show 500 plus to the world, whether it's 501 or whether it's 10,000. More more so now than 5 years ago, it is important to a hiring manager, not so much a recruiter, because a recruiter will say to you, you need to increase your connection number immediately, because a hiring manager will notice it and will say, gee, he's not really, or she's not really very active in the community, not really with it on social media or not. You want to give the impression to whoever's evaluating you that you're savvy and you're interested and you're involved. And if you have a LinkedIn profile that has 5 connections, they're going to look at you and go, what's wrong with this person? Because your mother, your father, your sister, your brother should all be LinkedIn connections. And if you don't have, more than 10, that means you don't have any friends. So, I
I
mean,
guess that's a red flag. Yeah.
it's not really discussed, but if you have a meager number of connections, they look at you and go, really? So it's not a formal but it's sort of like a, yeah. So do your best to get 501, and then no one will ever question you. You don't have to get 1,000. Get 501, and then no one will ever question you.
So
It's a baker, your baker, your butcher, your whatever. Connect if they have a LinkedIn profile, connect with them until you hit 501.
so Austin asks, do you recommend the use or purchase of LinkedIn Premium? Is that so? Wendy, people can upgrade to LinkedIn Premium. So rather than just have the free LinkedIn account, there's a premium account for job seekers. Is that something you would advise, or do you not think it's worthwhile?
Oh, you mean the big LinkedIn?
Uh,
The big LinkedIn?
yeah, sure.
And not turn it into Sales Navigator?
Wendy, no, it's called LinkedIn Premium. Are you not really familiar with it? Because I know you deal with LinkedIn from a different perspective. But like a job seeker can pay, and I don't know what the number. I apologize for not knowing, but and I think it's become excessive. But the LinkedIn can pay X amount of dollars a month and get additional features that aren't available to free members.
Don't, I'm sorry, I can't answer this question because I don't know.
That's okay. I think that's a good answer.
I know that candidates of mine are either on Sales Navigator or on LinkedIn or LinkedIn Recruiter Lite. So I don't know.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Let me see here. Linda asks, should your LinkedIn profile mirror your resume, or in what ways should they be different? Yeah,
Understand your resume needs to be targeted to the company you're applying to. You should have a master resume that can be targeted to the company you're applying to. And I don't mean that you're lying in any way, shape, or form, but if you have, let's say you're applying to a controversial company, it's a tobacco company. Uh, you're gonna alter out the work that you've done for anti-tobacco clients. Um, just because you want your resume to speak to the role you're applying to. That's all. Your LinkedIn profile is more of a master document. It speaks to the bigger audience. I guess a better way of not, I'm not, let's say you're under your achievements, you may say, completed 4 IPOs for 5 different companies over the space of 18 months for a total value of $20 million. Not $20 billion, okay? And that's in the LinkedIn profile. Okay? That's what you said. That's the accomplishment. On the resume, you go into more detail because the resume you're giving to a particular company, so you can go into a more intimate level of facts than you want to put on the LinkedIn profile that's available for everybody under the sun to see.
So an
Okay.
anonymous attempt. Oh, sorry, Wendy. Yep. So an anonymous. I want to keep things moving. I apologize. Did you have more for that answer?
No,
No. Okay. Sorry.
no,
I'm
it's
very
okay. I mean, I do, but no, I think that's the best way of saying it. You have the
sure.
ability to go into much more detail when you're explaining the information to a single person or company than when you're telling the world.
Yeah. 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 Sorry for the
That's okay.
occasional awkward interruptions.
No, I'm just trying to figure out the best way of saying what I needed to say.
No, that's okay. So an anonymous attendee says, "What about ageism? I keep hearing different things about how far back your work history should go on LinkedIn."
So ageism exists, and there are ways to combat it. There are executive coaches out there that specialize in helping you combat it. The advice about not going back further than 15 years, there are two problems with that. One, what if one of your major career achievements occurred 17 years ago? That's number one. Number two, there are industries that require you to account for your time, all of your time, since the day you got out of school, like mine. So, now don't misunderstand me. The first way of immediately killing your resume and your prospects, in an industry that absolutely cares about age, is to start yourself out by saying, "Hi, I'm a 35-year veteran of." Okay, you don't want to do that. But the biggest way to combat ageism is to focus on your skills and your achievements and all of those things, is to focus on those things as opposed to the length of time you spent doing them, but focus on the amount of skills you have and why the skills you have are perfect for what they're looking for. So I can tell
Excellent.
you that.
Yeah, no, excellent. And there's a good discussion going on in the chat about pros and cons of LinkedIn Premium. And I guess LinkedIn Premium, by the way, and I'm glad I didn't put a number on it because I would have been way off, is now $40 a month. I remember, Wendy, I remember when it was $10 a month.
Sorry, I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, yeah, no worries, no worries. We don't expect you to have all the answers. That would be ridiculous. All right, let's see. There's so many different directions we can go here, and there's still over 20 questions in the Q&A. I guess there's a question about a couple questions about like privacy. So like you talk about like putting your contact information in your profile, you know, but so any concerns about, you know, your contact information being now publicly accessible via search engines. So if I Google Wendy
Okay,
Schoen and I go on her LinkedIn profile, I'll be able to see her contact information.
okay. Uh, First of all, you can purposefully make it so that Microsoft cannot download your information to use on their platforms. That's number one. Number two, there are privacy, um, settings that you could use to prevent the download of some of your information. Third, look, people do this, and I think it's not a bad idea, is that if you're gonna actively or telling the world passively, or if you're really gonna be doing a search, it's not a bad idea to invest in a separate email address and even a separate phone number to do your search in. And have that be what's posted up on your contact information, on your LinkedIn profile.
And some folks were asking in the chat if they'll be able to save the chat. And because we're in webinar mode, I guess for most people you're not able to, but I will include the chat in the follow-up email along with the recording. Wendy, several questions about photographs, both headshots and what people are calling the background photo. Allison wants to know, do you have any tips regarding the background photo, like the banner photo for LinkedIn?
If you go onto LinkedIn, there are many articles that deal with banners, and how to find appropriate banners and how to download them and the like. In the search box, type banners.
Yep. A lot of useful information on LinkedIn itself about LinkedIn. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of articles, and absolutely, there are some on the cover photos or the banner photos, whatever you want to refer to them
And
as.
if you want to know whose advice to follow, look for executive coaches who are also LinkedIn coaches or LinkedIn top voices. I would tend to follow those voices as opposed to people who don't have any of those accolades.
Right. So JA wants to know, how wary should I be of unsolicited communications by email or text claiming to be from LinkedIn? And so, like LinkedIn recruiters that have the perfect job waiting for me. I don't want to click on any of those links in emails or text messages. What to do? Seems to be, Wendy, a lot of scams and spam on LinkedIn from so called recruiters who may not be actual recruiters.
Mark Anthony Dyson runs who is a recruiter and a coach, but over the last year, he has become a font of information regarding job search scams. You should look him up on LinkedIn and click and get his articles. If you are on LinkedIn and you find somebody who's putting out content that you want to get more of on a regular basis, go to their profile and you will find on the right-hand side a bell. Double click the bell and you will start, and then go to and then underneath that, click posts. You'll get everything that they write. But Mark Anthony Dice, he has been posting for a while now about all the scams that are out there. And if you have a question about something you're getting, direct message him and ask him, follow him, at least follow him. Okay. And you'll start getting all the articles that he gets and the like. And you can then just direct message him and ask him that question, and he will tell you. Okay.
Yeah, Wendy, we actually hosted Mark Anthony Dyson last summer, and he was very good. I put his link to his Substack in the chat, so if folks want to sign up, you'll then get his articles on a semi-regular basis. But he was very good about job scams in general, and in particular, job scams on LinkedIn. Yes, anonymous attendee. If it's too good to be true, it's probably a scam.
Whenever you received an email like that, first thing you do is look at who has sent it, check the spelling.
Yeah.
Second, ask if they're asking you for money. No recruiter will ask you for money. Recruiters are paid by the hiring entity. If a recruiter asks you for money, if they call you and say, "I got the perfect job for you, you only have to pay me $15,000, blah, blah, blah," run.
Yes. We'll take a few more questions, Wendy, as long as my voice holds out here. Yeah, there's so many different directions I could go with these questions. So Gretchen asks a question that I hear kind of a lot. She says, "Hello, I'm looking to make a career change, and my current LinkedIn profile shows who I am now, not where I want to go. So reinventing myself could be challenging, and I'm not sure how this would affect my current LinkedIn profile."
Okay. What you have to do is slowly transition your profile to focus on your skills and capabilities and not your title. Because the skills and achievements of focusing that focus on your skills and change your achievements to focus on your skills, that's what's going to be make you capable of making the switch, because you're going to look for jobs that have similar skills, not the title, but you're going to look for people for jobs that allow you to focus on your skills and transition based on your skills, not title.
So, Wendy, oh, that was one of your natural pauses, wasn't it? Or did I interrupt you?
No,
Are you
you're fine.
done? Okay.
You're good.
You keep me on my toes. I think you're done, but then sometimes you're not. So, an anonymous attendee asks a question we get a lot. To verify or not to verify, should I verify my LinkedIn account? So this is something LinkedIn rolled out, I think it was last year, where users can now verify their accounts and get a blue check mark if they, I think one of the steps is like uploading your license or something, essentially proving you are who you say you are. Is that something that matters to recruiters, or do you just assume that a LinkedIn profile has a real user behind it?
I think I've verified my account.
Yeah.
Um, if they ask you to do so, do so.
Mhm.
I think it depends on the industry.
Right.
Uh, if your industry really focuses on people who have verified their accounts, then do so. Um, I will tell you, I've never looked at someone's to see if someone is verified or not before I reach out to them.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at telling if someone's a fake.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm pretty good at recognizing, there's so many little tells that an experienced recruiter can pick up on.
Yeah.
Um, just so many tells. Uh, and if you're going to use AI, I beg of you,
Hmm.
I beg of you, do not cut and paste. Do not cut and paste. And please use your own words. They will maybe give you here's a nice little paragraph. Rework it into your own words, because a recruiter who sees the same paragraph showing up in 5 resumes, guess what happens? All 5 resumes go into the trash can. All 5. We want to see your unique value proposition, not AI's. Now, if you don't know, if you've got a sentence or you need to figure out a way to discuss what you did in a certain circumstance, by all means, have AI play with it with you to try and get the correct wording or a better wording because if you're tongue tied, fine. But I'm begging you, do not let AI write the thing for you, because you'll be on the trash can.
So, Wendy, you actually anticipated one of the questions because there was someone asking about AI. So I'll check that one off the box. Well, let me get you out of here with this more general question. Laura says so this is not specific to LinkedIn, and I know that you specialize in the legal industry. So maybe this isn't the fairest of questions. And so if you don't know the answer, that's fine. But Laura asks, current market seems as tough as 2002 and 2008. From your perspective, what industries are hiring or would you expect to restart hiring soon?
Not a clue.
Yeah, that's okay.
I have enough hard time following my own industry and figuring out what sides of my industry and what layers of my industry are hot at any one time, whether it's mid-sized, boutique, big law, litigation, corporate. What kind of corporate? I don't have time to pay attention to other industries, and I'm so sorry.
No worries. No need to apologize. All right, so we're going to start to wind things down as it is 10:30. I did put information about next week's topic, emotional intelligence, as it relates to the job search. So after 3 straight weeks of LinkedIn, we're pivoting to something else. But when I send out the email later today, I will include the links to the recordings from the prior 2 weeks in case folks missed those. There were several questions about people asking about very specific LinkedIn questions that actually were addressed a couple weeks ago. What should I include in the about section? Questions about eye-catching headlines. So I would encourage folks to watch the Kevin Turner LinkedIn webinar from a week or two ago. So Wendy, any last words for the audience before we wrap things up? Oh, Wendy, any last words for the audience before we wrap things up?
Good luck, everybody.
There you go. I like that. So, folks, let's give Wendy a big virtual round of applause for a great conversation. I appreciated the both formal and informal portions, and I appreciate some good, like, New York straight talk common sense. So I appreciated all that, Wendy. Folks, look for an email from me later today with a link to the recording, plus past recordings, plus today's chat, and information about the next 5 or 6 meetings. So thank you all so much. Don't forget to take the feedback survey. I hope everyone has a great rest of their day. Thanks again, Wendy. Bye-bye.